Catch up on all the live shows right here on africatechradio.com.
Have you noticed that Uber, the world's largest taxi company, owns no vehicles at all? Facebook, the world's most popular media owner, doesn't create any content whatsoever. And Alibaba, the most valuable retailer, has no inventory. Okay, maybe you take Airbnb, world's largest accommodation provider. They really do not own any real estate. That's interesting, right? Have you heard of the word or the phrase digital economy? Well, everyone seems to be going digital now. More than half of the world used the internet in 2020, and almost half of Africa used the internet in the same year. According to a McKinsey report, 77% of consumers will keep using digital channels after the pandemic to do business. Well, this whole digital or go home, go home or go digital or go home story didn't start today. It did not begin today. When Amazon started out as an online bookstore, some people thought that they were crazy, to have such a mad idea. Less than 2 decades after, we're all taking notes and jotting things down and using them as an example, right? Amazon has not just developed from being an online bookstore to cracking the e-commerce idea, but they also actively invested in things like cloud computing, digital streaming, artificial intelligence. You remember Kodak and maybe much recently Blackberry, RIP, anyways. Now, these will be used as lessons in business schools around the world to illustrate the consequences of trying to defeat tech development and trying to conquer the opportunity to go digital or trying to work against it. Have you ever wondered how IBM, for example, somehow find its way, to staying relevant since the year 1911? Well, I'm not an expert in this space, and I haven't developed any solution yet to back up these statements and these lofty ideas that I've talked about. But I've brought someone who has done so to help you better understand why your business should go digital. The founder and CEO of a platform that's making it easy for young people to start and grow successful online businesses called Terminal Africa, who has half a decade worth of experience as a full-stack web developer, Nnamdi Okoh, will help us better understand what I'm talking about today. Welcome, Nnamdi. How are you doing today?
Hi, Sony. I'm great, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Your intro was fantastic, but when you said RIP to who was it?
Blackberry.
Yeah, that was a bit spooky, but I think it's the case for many businesses, and I guess during the course of the conversation we probably look deeper into some of these points.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wanted to do 1 minute silence, but I thought that would be too dramatic, so I just left it that way.
Yes, definitely.
So, Nnamdi, recently in January 2022, Standard Chartered Bank announced the shutting down of a lot of its offices or branches across Nigeria and declared its interest to go digital. That's what they said. Now, this keeps coming closer to home around us here than ever. Before, we thought it was a far off thing, like something that happens in the Americas, in Europe and all of that. But what does it really mean for a business to go digital?
Yeah, so I think that trend of I guess major banks closing branches is something that's actually been going on for more than a decade now. I remember a couple of years ago as well in the UK, NatWest Bank was following a similar strategy, right? Where customers weren't coming into the branches as much, and so it was basically like wasted cost, right? But I think looking at banks would be far off for many small businesses that are probably listening in. So I think for smaller organizations, right, going digital covers a lot of things. For me, it's how you make decisions in your business. It's how you engage your customers or how they engage your business. It's how you manage your day-to-day operations. How are you accepting payments? we work in the e-commerce space primarily. And so, for us, that also covers, how you're managing your inventory and things like that. But I would say the most important thing for any company, big or small, that wants to be digital is your culture. And when I say culture, it's that comes from the experience, right, of working with these guys. I think a lot of businesses tend to think that, by using a digital payment platform, then I'm now digital. No, you're partly digital. You have a digital process for payments, but if you don't have the culture of, wanting to drive the full benefits from actually accepting digital payments, then you can't be digital. And the root of that culture goes back to why businesses wanted to go digital in the first place, and it's data. So I feel like businesses, a lot of people want to go digital, but they don't even understand the root of why you go digital, which the founding principles is based on data. You want to be able to make smarter decisions. You want to understand what areas of your business you need to improve. So at the root, all these things, you get the answers by looking at your data.
So at the root of
sorry, go on.
So you mean at the root of going digital, at the root of the culture of going digital for a business is having data and understanding the data as it works for the business.
Exactly. So you need data on your customers, because when you think about going digital, right, you're going to adopt some tools. You're going to change certain processes. But how do you know what processes to change? How do you know what tools to adopt? That insight should come from the knowledge that you have on your customers, the data on your customers. So I'll give you an example, because I guess, saying abstract stuff just goes over people's heads, right? How we started doing what we do today, which is, helping businesses move online. My brother and I were running a graphic design company a few years back, right? And we had data on our customers, right? Every time someone would come to us for a logo design, we would get their name, their email, and we'd also ask them for their websites, right? And at the end of 1 year, I think this was in 2013 or so, we were looking at this data, and almost none of the customers were putting in like the website URL for their website. And so it's like, do none of these businesses have websites? And instantly we knew that we could offer that as a service, given that I had the skills to build websites. And so that's what I mean by making decisions of your data. Over time, we've constantly, when it's come to, not just adding a new service, maybe you want to expand to a new market. What market do you expand to? That insight should come from the data. And so it's really about the culture. And then once you have that culture, it's easy to adopt tools. Because even when when we first started this, offering the website service, you give someone a website, you give them all the tools that they need to actually digitize their process. And they won't do it because they didn't have the culture. They didn't understand why that website was important. So I think the culture is the main thing. The tools are nice, but if you don't have the culture, you never reap the benefits of actually having those processes.
And you're saying that this can actually work for every kind of business, or can this really work for every kind of business? Because I'm someone who probably runs a small business where they maybe sell clothings. I would say, well, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter, and I use and I accept money digitally. So I actually market, digitally, and at the same time I collect payment digitally. Can small businesses also do the whole digital switch thing too?
I think it's even far more important for small businesses. One, because now when you're coming into the market, you mentioned people selling on Instagram. It's not like back in the day that, pre-internet, in the 90s when you were opening your business, say somewhere in Ireland. You're only competing with people in Ireland that are selling the same product. Now you're competing with the likes of Jumia And, there's so many big players in this. So for you, it's even more important to be digital. When you think about different types of businesses, obviously it depends, right? It depends on the process that you're trying to digitize. So with e-commerce and retail, I'll say pretty much every aspect of your business should be digital if you're operating today. You look at the very successful e-commerce businesses like Amazon, and even down to the process of sorting products in the warehouse has gone digital. And it's the reason why even at the scale that they're at, they're still so efficient and still able to drive maximum satisfaction for their customers. When you look at maybe other sectors like medicine, now, the stakes are higher, right? If you look at maybe a process where you're going to digitize prescriptions for drugs, right? That process would require a lot more scrutiny and have like significant impact on the lives of people. So, there might be a slower adoption of, digital processes in fields like that. But in the future, I don't see why even these sectors that now it seems, more difficult to adopt digital processes won't eventually move, transform as well. Because as technology improves, it reduces errors, the analysis gets better. And so I think in the long term, these processes will cut across pretty much every sector and business process. But, now maybe not so much. But if we are talking about retail and e-commerce for small businesses, literally every aspect of your business should be digital as far as I'm concerned. But, I'll probably shed more light on that. And
Okay, let's shed more light on it. Let's look at small businesses. Let's look at the process, the payment, inventory. When you're saying move digital, what exactly do you mean? Maybe some examples in the process, the inventory, the payments, and all these areas of a particular small business.
Right. So are we looking at the benefits or?
Let's look at what it means first. If you say, okay, if you're running your inventory digitally, this is what it will mean. This is what it means you'll be doing. If the process is digital, this is what it means you'll be doing. These are the tools. These are the things you need to have to say, okay, now I have digitized the process, the payments, the inventory of my business.
I think that's very simple. If we're talking about, like small businesses selling products, the easiest thing you can do is get a website, right? Even if you're not going to get a website, there are many smaller products that, smaller apps that help you manage your inventory. The reason why the website is the prominent solution, again, goes back to culture, right? So let's take, for example, a small business. You mentioned these guys on Instagram, right? Okay, you're communicating with your customers on Instagram. You probably have one tool for your payments, right? You probably have another tool that you use for email marketing. You probably have, your payment records are in your bank if you're accepting bank transfers. And so you're probably using a bunch of different apps. And then how are you making sense of the data that you're generating? So you're using digital tools, but because you don't understand why you should be using those tools in the first place, you think it's okay to have your data on a bunch of different apps, when really, if you had one website and all your data was aggregated in one place, it's very easy for you to drive insights from that data, which is the main point of going digital. You're no longer operating in the dark and wondering, okay, what should my next step be? You have data and you can make decisions off that data, measure the results of your decisions from same data. So when you change a process, you can measure the effects of your change by looking at the same data. And, that's essentially what it means to digital. So it's not just about using the apps, it's also how easy it is for you to drive insights from the tools you're using. So, okay, let me give a more concrete example, right? Say you're selling products and you have your payment information, which tells you what people are spending money on, in your bank. You have your inventory management solution, which maybe when someone buys from you, you go and update your inventory there. Now, at the end of the year or month or whatever, what are you going to do to know what is your best selling product? A lot of businesses don't even know this. If you ask them, they will guess and tell you, oh, it's probably this product, but which one gives you the most value? Now you have to go and combine inventory and then take data from your banks in one spreadsheet. Just chaos. I don't know how people operate like this, but yeah, it's just not. It's not an effective way. So when we talk about getting websites, which is something we strive to do at Terminal over the past couple of years, is create whatever tool that you need. Make it easy for you to access all these tools in one place, whether it's payments, your products, inventory, logistics, in a way that it's easy for you to make sense of the data as you transact. And I think that's the key part, right? So, but yeah, for businesses, it's it's more about the culture and not necessarily about the tools that you're using. The tools are a great start, but you also need to start thinking about how you're going to drive insights from the data that you're generating on all those tools.
Okay, for some small business owners who are still, doubting, what benefits have the small businesses who you've helped said they have gotten from going digital?
Okay, I'll there are 5 main benefits, right? And I guess the main one is making money. It doesn't sound like that because when people move online, they just expect the money to start falling from the sky. Like, oh, I have a website now, I should become Amazon. It doesn't happen like that. Even Amazon didn't become Amazon overnight, right? But the key thing with going digital is you can make money. You can make more money, right? Two days ago, right, I was talking to one of the first businesses that we actually put on Terminal. And she was telling me how she's waking up to so many international orders, right? She doesn't understand why it's coming. And we were just laughing about it, right? She's getting orders from countries she has never been in, right? And she's not even marketing in these countries. But, the fact that she has, over the past 2-3 years, she has put in she has built an effective culture, right? Where her customers understand the benefits of, actually placing their orders through her website, and not only the benefits for them, but the benefits for her as a business. And she has built this over time. So now she's making money without even putting in additional effort. So that's something that you can actually do. They call it making money in your sleep, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess the other main benefits would be, and this cuts not just across, this is not just in retail, right? This is pretty much across any business that goes digital. It's things like saving time. So, looking at the retail example, if you're in the DMs every day talking to customers, oh, how much is this product? How long will it take to get to me? And maybe you're doing, there's some big businesses in these DMs, and you're doing maybe 50 to 100 orders a day. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you the only thing you'd be doing is taking orders and shipping them out in your entire day. That's all you'll be doing, because you're either on the phone talking to customers or sending messages, and you don't actually have time. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
So, you're basically not doing the things that you should do as someone that's running a business. You're basically just doing the day-to-day. So compare that to someone that maybe has a website, right? They barely have to communicate with their customers on things like price or how long it will take to deliver, because all that information is there. You have like frequently asked questions, which will pretty much, for a new customer, they'll answer all their questions and they can literally just pay you. Nobody's coming to say, oh, these are screenshots from my bank. Have you received it? Have you not received it? All that goes out the window. So it saves you time. The other thing is it reduces errors. Okay, so that's the second thing, right? For us, when we first started Terminal, right, I'll give you an example. The logistics service was not digitized. So when someone would get an order from their website, they'd go to like DHL or, any of these like delivery platforms and have to manually enter the date.
Mm-hmm.
And with that process, just that simple manual process, right? There were errors. Sometimes it led to packages being lost because, you get the postcode wrong, DHL take it to the wrong address. And yeah, there's just a lot of confusion, right? When we digitize that process, we made it so when you get your order now as a merchant, you could basically send that information to DHL in the exact way the customer provided it. And, they'd come to you and deliver your package. Now, since we implemented that process, zero errors in address in that exchange, because now it's not someone manually putting in the information; it's going directly from the customers. The third thing would be providing a rich experience. I can't emphasize how important this is. And again, you look at. I'm really sorry for going in on WhatsApp and Instagram DM people, but
it's fine. Take your swipe.
You look at that experience, right?
Yeah.
It's not. There's nothing unique about that experience, right? It's not doing anything for your customer. They're not keying into your brand. When they're engaging you, they're not. Even how the process of how they let you know that, how they provide feedback on your business. That's something that's very important. But imagine if you're having to ask your customers what they think about your business in each of these platforms. Then you now have to even make sense of it, you have to aggregate it somewhere else. Then, it's not, the experience for your customer is not optimal. Compare that to maybe someone that has a website like the ones we provide at Terminal, right? When a customer places an order online, the system immediately sends them confirmation, so they're not wondering if their payment has gone through or not. As soon as it's confirmed, they get that notification. You get a personalized text message from your business with a receipt attached. And even when it comes to delivering the product, there's a unique experience there as well, because when you as the merchant ship that product, the customers can literally watch that product come to them. They get a link to track it. And, you get the people that are really excited about the product they just bought. They could literally watch the courier. So nobody calling you to say, please, where is this rider? Where is my product? All the information is there. They can track it. It comes to them. When they get their product, the system automatically asks them for feedback. When they provide this info, it goes to your central repository. So it's just, it's a unique experience for your customer. Throughout that process, it's your branding that, the customer is visualized. So the value that adds for your business is not obvious immediately, or over time, it aggregates. And that's what we've seen with merchants that have stuck through that process. And then, the last thing would be like I mentioned before, is operating smarter. So over time, if you have a great digital culture in place with effective tools, you would be making smarter decisions. And every time you need to decide on, a new market to move into or a new product that you want to sell, you'll be based on what has worked for you. Okay. And then, when you combine that with other market research on, where the trends are going, what kind of customers products are buying now, you make far better decisions than just looking at, oh, my competitor is selling this type of dress now. Me too, I want to sell this type of dress. So I think those are the key benefits of going digital. So I'll just summarize again. It saves time, reduces errors, provides a rich experience for your customers, makes your business smarter, and you can make money in your sleep.
Interesting. Now, some people, someone would most likely be thinking, with all of these, benefits you've listed and all of the, wonderful things you've mentioned, how really affordable is it to go digital? Because it looks like when we actually have a lot of benefit and we speak a lot of English and like, this is really, really good, they're like, man, but what's the cost? Or can we really afford it? What exactly is the cost of going digital?
Again, I think that depends on the process that you're trying to implement. If you are a small business, maybe you just started, there shouldn't really be any cost. There are many free platforms Terminal being one of them, that you can actually leverage and, just upload your products and, sell on a very simple website. If you're a bigger organization, it could cost you millions of dollars to implement something as simple as a payroll system. So it really depends on the nature of your business and what processes you want to digitize. Today, everyone knows about things like Paystack and Flutterwave and these guys. But if you want to digitize your payments, it costs you nothing, right? Maybe if you're looking for something more bespoke, like maybe like a tailored website that showcase your brand, then usually you have two options, right? One, maybe you hire a professional, and that could cost you anywhere between 50K to 2 million naira, or even more, depending on what you want that professional to do for you, and how many requirements you have for the processes they're going to digitize.
So the person actually builds it from ground up, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you want like a bespoke solution, right? These days, I wouldn't even, if you're in the retail space, I wouldn't even advise you to go that route, because unless you're completely clear about what you want, or you're just going to leave it to that professional to provide that solution, that process can get very messy. You can spend 6 to 12 months and you even have
still nothing,
your product, because still nothing, because someone is changing their mind about something, or there's just a lot of back and forth. So for example, what we've done at Terminal, and also when you look at some other global e-commerce platforms, is if you're someone that is a bit savvy with these tech tools, you can actually go on the platform, get a free premium template, customize it to your brand, upload your logo, change the brand colors, put your images there, and basically put yourself online. And the only thing you'd have to pay is a small, maintenance fee to maintain that website online. Obviously, the main benefit with using our platform is, we're built for businesses here, right? So if you were to go on like Shopify, you'd be paying maybe like $29 a month, which converts to right now about 15K. With business, even convincing them to go online is hard enough, but when they have to pay 15K every month before sales, that's even like that becomes more of a conversation, right? So for us, you're looking at between 5,000 to 9,000 naira, and the fact that you're paying in naira means you're protected from looking for forex and changing exchange rates and all that. So I think the cost varies, but for retail, if you're a small business, you can actually start on Terminal for free as well, and there are many other platforms that give you access for free. But if you want something more bespoke, then you have to think about at least paying something.
Now, if a business owner doesn't want to go digital, they just want to stay where they are. What's the consequence? Like, can't I just exist like this, maybe from now to the next 10 years?
No, you can't actually. And this is where people, whenever I have this conversation, they will start arguing with you, telling you how, Nigerian customers, they don't.
We are not there yet. We are not there yet. That kind of conversation, yeah.
You already pointed out. There's only one result. It's dark. It's spooky. It doesn't make sense now because it's a slow process, right? And the simple thing that will happen to you is you lose your competitive. When a business loses their competitive advantage, the knock-on effects of that are so many. You lose new customers, your money reduces, and eventually you will die out, right? If you don't go digital. And I'll tell you why. When you look at what has happened, let's even stick with e-commerce now, because I guess reaching out to there are a lot of sectors, right? But when you look at what has happened with commerce around the world, right, in developed countries, even countries like India, Brazil, e-commerce has become commerce, right? There's no differentiation. When you look at a platform like Amazon, Amazon now is commerce. It's not seen as e-commerce in the US anymore, right? That is going to happen here. It might be a slower process, but the culture is going to change. And if you think about what's going to happen 5 or 10 years from now, and you know that that change is coming, the best thing you can do for yourself is to start to prepare for it. I don't know, you probably know Peter Thiel, right? He has this popular saying that if you're going to innovate in like a developing economy, you don't really have to do something new, right? You literally have to look at what's happened in the developed world. Obviously, look at your current environment, study the trends, and come up with solutions to meet that trend, in the next 5 or 10 years. So for businesses now, you know that customers in the future are going to be more savvy, navigating online platforms. They're going to be, if someone is looking for where to buy shoes or clothes, they're going to be going to massive information resources like Google. And if you have no digital footprint, you'd be left out. Like you won't be part of those new customers that are entering the market, right? Your business would slowly decay and you just die out. The perfect example is, you remember Blockbuster?
Mm-hmm.
So Blockbuster v Netflix, right? Blockbuster, if you're not an old head like me, Blockbuster in the 90s was this popular movie rental platform. You go in there, you rent DVDs, and you go to your house, watch your DVD and all that. In the 90s, this worked, right? Because nobody was watching anything online, right? Around the early 2000s, a lot of content started becoming available online. I remember this website called Mega Video, where we used to watch movies in like 2009. Somehow, it never occurred to the people at Blockbuster to study this trend of how the content that they were pushing through their hundreds of stores around the US was suddenly going online and people were accessing it for free. And so over time, it was a slow process, but they had lost their competitive advantage at that point in the early 2000s, right? It didn't seem like that because many people were still coming into the stores, right? Fast forward another couple of years, Netflix launched, and then again, other streaming platforms came into the picture. And I'm not even sure what year they completely went bust, but by then, Netflix was already, doing serious growth numbers, and they were out of business. So there are many other examples of this, Motorola, Blackberry, Nokia. It just comes from not, studying what's happening in where your market is moving, and which comes from data, and working to serve those customers in the future. It's something that is always going to happen. You always have to do this. So business is not static. So if you're not thinking about going digital, that's the bad news for you. You can argue about it all you want, but I really think that's what's going to happen.
Okay. Well, digital is way more than just marketing on the internet and maybe sharing a few posts on social media to say, yes, we're there now, we're trending on social media, hashtag this or that. It also goes beyond, just receiving payments digitally only and saying, you know what, I no longer transact business or have physical transactions, right? I do the whole pay online, pick up via logistic company and all. Well, the main point is, do you really know what your customers want? Do you know the data that is driving your business? That is the major discussion. Thank you very much, Nnamdi, for this very enlightening and insightful conversation. It was really, really good having you on this platform.
Great. Thanks, Tony. I've actually enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. And don't forget to catch up on all the live shows right here on africatechradio.com.